In this video, I built this router plane from the Paul Sellers router plane kit. To get the router plane project started, I made a selection out of my scrap pile. The best wood I had for this tool would be maple, but the only thing I had that would be thick enough were these 3 thin strips that I had to glue together. To make it even a little thicker, because it's under 25 millimeters, I'm going to laminate this bird's eye maple on top. And I think that'll actually make it look pretty nice too. I've also prepared the upright out of maple. So to finish preparing the body, I'm going to go ahead and get this glued up. While the glue is setting up on the base, let's take a look at the package. There is this card that directs you to paulsellers.com router plane kit. I did visit this website. It doesn't seem to be operational at this time, although there is a note that says to check back soon. Some of the parts have come out of this little bag, but it looks like they're all still there. Very interesting case. In Paul Sellers' videos, he creates this piece from raw stock. So one nice thing about having this kit is that it's already done for me. One of the things I have to supply are these knobs. In the video, Paul Sellers suggests starting with off-the-shelf knobs. So the target here is 44 millimeters in diameter and 41 millimeters tall. And this was the closest I can find. And the specs on Amazon said they would be 37 millimeters tall. This is coming in at 36.36. And they said it'd be 37 millimeters in diameter. And the diameter is coming in at 37.28. And I'll leave the Amazon link to these in the description of the video. Let me break in here and go over some timeline elements. Paul Sellers first released videos 1 and 2 of his router plane kit build back in October of 2021. Shortly after, in November of 2021, I registered with the Paul Sellers website as being interested in hearing more about these kits. On March 22nd, 2022, I received an email from the Paul Sellers blog indicating that I could order the kit. Within minutes of receiving the email, I went to the website and placed my order via PayPal. The total was $53, including shipping to the United States. On April 21st, I received an email indicating that the package had shipped. And on May 4th or 5th, I can't really remember, 2022, I received the package in the mail. And then a day or two later, I began making this video. The plan calls for a 1 1/4 inch or 32 millimeter hole to be drilled near the center. I don't have a 1 1/4 inch drill bit. I have this 1 1/8 inch spade bit, and I have this 35 millimeter Forstner bit that's used for drilling out cabinet hardware. I think I'll go with the 35 millimeter bit and go a little larger than the plan. That may come back to bite me, but we'll see. I've made a somewhat serious order of operations error here. I've shaped the angle and smoothed the corners of my upright before I cut the slot to receive the iron. Unfortunately, the documentation that's available so far doesn't list the steps, but I did go back to Paul Sellers' video, and he indeed does cut this face first, which is the 50-degree angle face, and then cuts the slot, and then continues to process the rest of the block. So I'm going to have a little bit of an issue holding this piece, but I think I have a solution, and that's going to involve the Xylus vise here. So I've set the vise up with the turntable installed, which allows me to tilt the vise this way, which allows me to put this plane of the 50-degree angled face parallel to the ground. That should make it a little bit easier to do the sawing. Actually, I think I'll move it to this side. So from this point, I think I can just continue in the same manner as Mr. Sellers shows in his video. So I have a status update for you. I've rounded the front, eased all the edges, rounded the corners, smoothed everything, drilled the holes, and installed the screw studs. Now, I did make a mistake here. I drilled too far. But thankfully that's on the bottom. I will smooth that up and fill it with wood putty, and hopefully it won't cause any problems. I also rasped the inside of the circle. Now I need to move on to the handles. The plan here is to hold the drill in the Xylus vise mount, turn the drill on, then work the extra off with the file. Okay, that worked decently well. I'll go ahead and sand it, do the other one, and move on. The crossbar cutter holder has machining burrs all the way around, so I'm just going to knock those off with either sandpaper or file. Okay, I'm getting very close to being done with the router plane. I did have one more problem. The screw studs for the handles were too long. I had to grind off approximately 12 millimeters off of each in order to have enough clearance to seat the nuts all the way. And that's even with my plane body being well over the 25 millimeters suggested. I made another mistake. See if I can get the right angle here for you. You can see that the adjuster screw nut splays out this way and the blade splays out that way, and I'm not quite getting this to seat. So either I imprecisely cut the slot for the blade, which in my opinion for me was the most difficult part of this project so far, or I did not plane this angle correctly, or I did not drill this stud hole in at 90 degrees either, or a combination of all three. In any manner, what I'm going to try to do to attempt to fix it is take this off and then lightly bend this stud that way so it's more parallel with the blade. And then if that works, I'll be ready to finish the plane and sharpen the blade and try it out. I was able to successfully bend this back rod with this bit extension. It fit right over and gave me the long lever that I needed to make the change in the angle. Now I'm ready to finish. I've got my shellac mixed up 50-50 with denatured alcohol, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this bird's eye maple looks with shellac. Oh wow, that's great. Okay, this is actually not in bad shape. I might just be able to get away with finishing this right on my 1200 grit stone. I may not have to go down. We'll see. No, there's a little bit of a hollow near the tip. So I'm going to go down and grit, go through the normal process, and get this to an edge that I'm happy with. Okay, I've got the router plane ready to go. I finished shellacking the top and the sides. I did not shellac the bottom, but I did put a coat of furniture paste wax on the bottom and every other wooden part. I've installed the metal hardware, including the sharpened blade. So now I'm ready to test. I've laid out 3 dados here in this sample board. Ignore these holes, this is a scrap piece. I used the knife wall technique to make all 6 lines, and then used a crosscut saw to saw these to depth. So my goal here is to clean out the material so that this scrap fits in like that. Okay, I'm having trouble setting the depth, so I think what I'm going to need to do is do a little bit of filing in the adjustment slot. Okay, I've made a couple rookie mistakes here. First rookie mistake is I'm demonstrating something on YouTube with hardwood, more or less a no-no. I believe this is hard maple. And second rookie mistake is I thought I was going to be able to take it all the way down with the plane, and if this were pine, that might have been possible. So I actually have to do the work and get these dados somewhat close. Okay, I've used up all the depth in the bottom slot, so now I gotta reposition. Okay, I've got a little more tuning to do on these. You can see I got some breakout back here, and the bottoms are equal and flat, but there's some chip out here. And that's because I'm still learning to use this tool. This is actually the first time I've ever even used a router plane. So you can obviously see from my technique and my results, it's amateur hour here. But I'll get better. I had a lot of fun building this kit. I'm really glad I bought it. One of the things I like about it is all the parts are simple. If one of these pieces became lost or broken, I could probably find a replacement. Something else I like about it is if I become unhappy with my woodworking and the wood parts, I can always take these metal parts off, build a new wood section, and install them there. Even though I'm about 99% done, I do have a fine-tuning issue to take care of. The issue I have is I did not cut the slot for the blade accurately. There's a slight hump which causes the blade to tilt back and forth. So when I set the protrusion, which sets the depth, as soon as the tip of that blade hits wood, it causes it to tilt forward, which essentially makes the cut deeper, and in most cases too deep. So I think what I'll do is level out the bottom of that groove and then shim it with a new piece of wood, and then cut that piece of wood down to the correct depth and level. Well, that's it for the Paul Sellers router plane kit build. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.